Dude, there's a lot of exciting shit going on, man. It's like, it's crazy, honestly. You know, like the Tea Masters Cup thing. Like when I won the American Championship, I got featured in an international magazine called 80 Degrees. That's like really focused on tea. Thrill List wrote a big national article about tea, and it like really featured a lot about me.
That's great,
and it's amazing.
That's
amazing. Now, like we've
very deserved.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah,
but we've been getting a lot of sipjojo.com. By the way, that's sipjojo.com.
Shameless plug one. Go on.
but we've been getting a lot of like inquiries from all over the U.S.
Great.
People coming in to I've got a coffee shop in D.C.
Great.
I'd love to try your product.
I just went to D.C.
DC's awesome, huh?
I just went to there was JoJo. Was there JoJo Tea there? I was everywhere I would go. I would just be like, "Where's your tea from? Where you get? Who's your tea dealer?" Yeah.
Did you mention JoJo or no?
Of course I did.
Yeah, right.
Oh, what? Well, yeah, you guys should pick up Tazo. That shit's fucking fire. Get out of here. Of course I mentioned JoJo.
Yeah, whatever. I'm just kidding. No, thank you, bro. Yeah, man.
You brought up that write-up. I forget whether they wrote about this specifically, but I think it'd be great to get that story about the shock of your methods.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good little anecdote.
So like that because the Tea Masters Cup, you have to bring your own tea and your own teaware, So like you have to brew your own tea in your own teapot, and then 1 hour before you go up, they unveil 5 different teas and 1 teapot. So you've got to pick based on that teapot and based on the tea you're serving. You've got to pick one of those 5 teas to brew for the judges as well.
Okay.
Now I was brewing this Taiwanese high mountain oolong called Jade Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tried it. Yeah. Comes from like 2,000 meters above sea level. The lady that makes it is over 80 years old. She's been making tea since she was 7 years old. She's a 3rd-generation tea master.
That's crazy.
Her company's only run by the women in her family. She's a badass. She's a legend. But this tea kind of has like a flavor profile of like gardenias, carnations, peaches, and like a cucumber. These kind of flavor profile, and it has like a really thick, kind of oily mouthfeel. Because it grows at such a high elevation. It grows so slow. It gets a real thick finish to it. So when I saw them unveil the 5 teas, one of them looked like this tea that I know called Ruby 18. Okay.
I remember you talking about it, Ruby 18.
So Ruby 18 is like what they call in China a red tea, but we call here in America a black tea. Okay? The Chinese red tea and American black tea is the same thing. But most of the black teas are like the processing involves roasting them at the end, and that caramelizes the sugar and gives it a kind of thicker, heavier mouthfeel. Mm-hmm. Ruby 18 is dehydrated instead of being roasted, right? But the leaves are still like rolled and bruised and oxidized first. So you get like the flavor profile of a tangy black tea towards like raspberry and cinnamon and dark chocolate. But then the mouthfeel is more like peppermint, that it's like really cooling and refreshing on the breath, So when I saw them unveil the tea, I was like, oh, that looks like Ruby 18. And Ruby 18, I'm serving a Taiwanese oolong. This is a Taiwanese red tea. That cooling mouthfeel and the tannin of the Ruby 18 would cut through the oil of the Jade Mountain in a really satisfying, kind of like undeniably shocking way. But I didn't know for sure if it was Ruby 18, and if it was Ruby 18, if it was a good one, So like as soon as they unveiled all the teas, all the other competitors, they all take out scales, and they all take out their scales and their stopwatches and their timers and their thermometers and their teapots, and they're all doing these crazy experiments. And I just walked up to the Ruby 18 and I grabbed a handful of it and I threw it in my mouth and just chewed it. And like when you do that, like it releases the oil of the tea. And as soon as I did that, I knew that it was like properly processed and that it would cut the oil of the Jade Mountain. So I looked at the judges and I was like, yeah, I'm going to use that one. And I walked away. And then I noticed that all the competitors were looking at me like if I had just sacrificed a child and walked away like if I had done nothing, They were like, what the fuck was that? So it was a pretty baller little move. It was funny.
It was pretty baller.
Yeah, that's a mic drop in the tea world. I like it. Just eat the tea, spit it out. I'm going to take that one. Mm-hmm. Just walk away. Well, so
now we'll see when the world championship is,